Right, oh yeah, welcome back. Okay, I had a day in the garage today doing all sorts of boring and miserable things that are not interesting and would not really in their own right have made a video. So just got cracking, got on with stuff. And what I thought I'd do is I'll give you a show of what I've done and where I am so far. Just so that it kind of brings you up to date with the project, as it were. Let's get the screwdriver. And what I'm doing at the moment is taking off everything that I don't need. A lot of it's slow and fiddly and boring, so I thought I'd just get it done and then show you it at the end. Right, this is a seat lock. Get that out of the way. One backlight assembly, and that's a specialised light. It's an LED, sort of a multi-LED light, so that's quite trick. Not going to use that. I'm not sure. I don't know. I may use it. I may not. But I'm not selling it. I'm going to keep that one purely because it makes life a little bit more straightforward if I have that choice. And come on in, Ben. All this sort of stuff here. Look, seat lock. Don't need it. The key that's for the bike doesn't fit this seat lock, so it's kind of not relevant to keep it anyway. I've only got one key with the bike, so that comes off as well. And gradually stripping stuff out of the way, making the bike look a little bit simpler, so I can, you know, like they say, let the dog see the rabbit. And the less that's on this then the easier it is to see what I'm doing and what's next. Right, that should. There we go, seat lock. So all these little bits of stuff just going in a box out of the way. I don't need them. Now already you can see that stuff's starting to look a bit simpler. I'll show you what I've done today on the bike anyway. First thing was on the front. This is what was left after the mess that was the that HID Halo kit. All the wiring in that took up a lot of space and it was all stuffed and jammed in. This little bit here was just a extra. That's what I've done is label everything so I know what it is for later on. So you've got headlights, two headlights, so there's two headlight sockets, the first one and the second one. Indicator wiring, this was all butchered and taped up, so I just cut it off. I'm going to bear that back and put proper soldered ends on that when the time comes, but I know what it is. And this is the same thing that's happened here. That's the daytime running light, the little light that sits at the front, that little wide one. Quite trick. I want to keep that because it's quite funky. Whether I put it as a little tiny LED, I don't know, but I need a power feed and that's it. And as you can see, it's got more of this twisted wire where it was this piece of wire here. This went off to a power feed to one of those halo lights. The little halo rings came on with the side lights. So there's the power feed. And what I've got, come around again, all this piece of harness is now properly labelled up, so I know what all of it does. And then this here is the main socket to it. And all I've got to do is take that out like that, and that's labelled as well. Front light harness, which is that. So when I get to it, that will get kind of cannibalised, cut up, shrunk back and used, because I know that the plugs will plug in. I'm going to keep the wiring loom as professional looking as possible. Same on the back end. That'll just go there in a minute. Same on the back here. All the mess and all that household stuff. Ripped all that off. I've left these on for no other reason than to protect the ends of the wires. And what I did trying to find this, turn that on, with the ignition on, I'll turn one of those lights on, just with a test light. Where are we? Left indicator. There it is. So that tells me that's the left indicator feed. So that's how you do it. Put the right one on. Right indicator feed. Where are we? There you go. So it just tells me what each part does. This one as well, when I put the side lights on, I'm getting a feed through that one. Now that wasn't used, it was just taped off, but that was the number plate light. Originally this bike would have had its own number plate light that sat down on the rear fender above the number plate, and the light itself would have been self-contained. So there's obviously a power feed to that. It wasn't used, but now I've got it. It's just a live feed. It's nice to know what it is, so I've just labelled it for what I need, and that's actually the socket to that light, which has had a neat piece of harness put on it so it fits straight on, so that's going to be handy if I need it. So really that's what it is. This one's just about tidying things up, stripping a few bits of pieces off and trying to noodle out some direction as to where I'm going with these things. Come on in, I'll show you this one. I had a fantastic suggestion from my buddy Doug. What he said is, if you want to get rid of this expansion bottle, which is when your bike gets hot, the expanding steam in your cooling system sends water into this and you end up with an expansion bottle, and that's really ugly. There is a really neat, tidy little sort of aluminium polished one which lives in there, looks fantastic. I was going to get that, but actually I'm not. What I'm going to do with it is, can you come around the front? If I just borrow that camera. I just want to show them this. As you can see, what a state of this in here. I am not going to bother with that. It just is not worth it. There's no point in getting all this finished only to find that that lets me down. It's had so much action around the front here. All these fins are so clogged up with crap and corrosion that there's no air passing through there, which means you're not getting a cooling effect that you should get. So what I'm going to do is going to replace this whole thing. I saw one on eBay for £85. It is from China. I don't know if that really matters. I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to order it, get it here, and I'm going to fit it on. And at the same time, that means I won't have to have this because I'm going to change over to Evans waterless coolant, and I'll talk to you all about that at the time. Waterless coolant basically boils at about twice the temperature of water, so there's no expansion, so you don't need an expansion bottle. It's far better coolant. I'll talk about it a bit more, but that's what we're going to do. Change your radiator, go over to that. The other thing is here, just going like that on a fork seal, and we have got one chucking oil everywhere. So I've got one fork seal gone, so I've ordered a pair of fork seals for it. They've got to take time to come. So while I've got the forks out doing the fork seals, that will be a video, obviously. I'm going to stick a pair of headstock bearings in it as well. I wanted to do a headstock bearing video for a long time, and it is quite a technical thing. Not that dissimilar to doing the wheel bearings and the tyre we did the other day. Quite straightforward. So I'm going to do headstock bearings and fork seals on this bike because there's no point in cutting corners if I'm going to start being creative and making and fabricating things while I've ignored mechanical faults. I must do those first if I know about them. So before I go much further, I'm just waiting for parts on that. The rest of the time today was spent packing. All this lot here, 1, 2, 3, all these massive boxes, that is all the bodywork. Something like 28 pieces of bodywork. That's the headlight and all the halo stuff in there. The can's still got to be packed. I've got a box coming especially for that, with a tube box that's going to go in that. All of it's going up for sale. A few people interested, but nobody so far has stepped up and paid so we can send it out. So they're all going to go on eBay in the next day or so, and that'll just get rid of that, get us a bit of space. So that's what today's been about. Today's time investment was 3.5 hours. I've made a note of it because it's all part of it, really. Day 2, packing the panels for shipping and label the wiring. It seems like you haven't done much, but 3.5 hours, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to write this down and to actually make a note at the time I put and invest in this, because sometimes it's hundreds of hours by the time you finish the bike, and you have to factor that in when you realise how much the bike is worth to you. So for the moment, I've just labelled everything, started to make it tidy, not interesting enough for a video, but we've gone somewhere with it, and all this is now packed. That was a lot more work than you think, photographing each piece for the eBay sale, you know, lay it down, photograph it, move it over, lay it down, and on and on. And then packing it all in a box so it's all safe and tidy. I've got to put fragile tape around that and get it away.
Don't get a job in a warehouse then.
Don't get a job in a warehouse, I'd be rubbish at it, wouldn't I? Honestly, so much to do that isn't interesting. I want to get it out of the way. That's what this day was about. It's not a brilliant video, it's not very interesting, but it's keeping you up to date with the project because so many of you have given us such amazing support with this. It really is amazing, isn't it, Penny? Mm-hmm. You know, so much invested consideration in this. It's great to have that because it's encouraging to us to know that you're watching and that you're excited about it. Some of you as much as we are, which is mad because it's our bike. I love it. You're all nuts. Excellent. Right, so if there's anything else, Ben?
That's it, thank you.
Time for a cup of tea, I think, don't you?
Yep.
It's been a long day. So there we are. Not a lot at the moment, but there will be much more exciting stuff to come. This is about getting the boring stuff out of the way, a couple of fun jobs to do on the front end, and apart from that, other than that, cracking on in earnest in the next one. Mm-hmm. Is that doing it?
Yep.
Okay, take your ride safe. Thanks for watching.
Going.
See you next time.
ET41, baby, that's for me. M-O-O-N-F-L-E, ET41, baby, that's for me.